Welcome to Esther's Laguna Woods Show, where every guest matters. Today we have a very special guest. She is a nutritionist and a chef, and her name is Linda Crawford. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Esther. Thank you so much for having me.
So nice to have you here. So, you must know so much about food. Huh? But first we're going to talk about your background. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay. So I am a nutritionist, integrated nutritionist. I am a food and emotion health coach, and also a clean food chef. Ah. And what happened is years ago when I was growing up, I decided to get my degree in business, but I also wanted to be healthy. So I went ahead and extended my degree program to also get degreed in nutrition as well. So I spent about 25 years in corporate America, and called on hospitals and sold performance systems and that type of thing to certify doctors and nurses.
Wow.
So I've been exposed to the hospital healthcare arena for many, many years, and learned a lot, you know, being in the hospital setting.
Wow, that's really something. So who inspired you? How did you get inspired?
Okay, so two things. I became a nutritionist because when I was a little girl, my mother was a caretaker. Mm-hmm. And she called on convalescent centers and took care of the elderly. Yeah. And she used to take my little brother and I to visit the patients. Yes. Because they, as you know, they love to be around children.
Yes, yes.
But what I noticed was there were some folks that were in wheelchairs and pushed off into the corner. Nobody was visiting them. Nobody was talking to them. They were so isolated. And I remember it made such an impression on me as a child to say that when I grew up, I wanted to stay as healthy and as active as I could and be able to take care of myself and be independent, right?
Right.
So the other piece of it, becoming a health coach, when I was in corporate sales and in marketing, calling on these health systems, of course I was on the road a lot, I was under a lot of stress, and this triggered one of my genes in my body that compromised my immune system. So I started becoming allergic and sensitive to certain foods that I had eaten all my life. Wow. And so about 12 years later, it took me to get diagnosed with an allergy and some intolerances. And I decided what I wanted to do was I wanted to figure out how can I share this information and pay it forward to serve the community so that people would not have to go through years of trying to get tested and being frustrated and spend lots of money on things that they weren't really getting better, they weren't getting well or healing, right? Yeah. And so that's why I decided to write a couple of books, and I have one here today, Pure Genius, but wanted to share this information with folks so that they know that there are solutions, and there are ways that they can become healthier and be able to live an active life and not deal with reactions that they don't understand where they're coming from.
Yes, you wrote in your book about reactionary food versus allergies. What does that mean?
Okay, so let's start first with allergies. Allergies are food that there are certain proteins in food that your body does not react to well. In other words, it's foreign to them. And so for me, gluten is a perfect example. So I have an allergy to gluten. So that protein in my body does not process and break down. And because of that, I have a reaction. Typically an allergy, you're going to have a reaction within hours or that evening. So it's pretty quick. Now with an insensitivity, that's something that your body is going to be sensitive to, like a reaction, like a reactionary food, but it's going to take anywhere from 48 to 72 hours to get a reaction. That's why people get very confused about whether it's an allergy or sensitivity, because they're reacting, but they're not remembering, hey, did I eat corn yesterday, or did I eat soy 3 days ago, and they're not tracking it. So it's now become their new normal, I call it, because they're getting fatigued, they're getting bloated, they have headaches, and they don't understand where all these symptoms are coming from.
Wow, so some people are allergic to gluten and they don't know how.
Esther, there's an average of about 30 million people today just in the United States they either have an allergy or a sensitivity. There's many, many more because they have not even been diagnosed yet.
Wow. Yeah, you mentioned that there are 8 types of food that people are allergic to. What are they?
So you have gluten, you have soy, you have
Peanuts?
dairy, you have peanuts, you have nuts, you have eggs, you have seafood and fish.
Wow. And milk, I mean.
Dairy.
Yeah,
yes.
dairy.
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really something. Lately, people, I mean, not lately, but what do you think of probiotics?
Probiotics are very, very good. Let me start by explaining. In your intestines, there is what we call microbiome. Microbiome is basically the environment in your stomach, in your gut. And in there you have good bacteria and you have bad bacteria. And there is a balance if you're managing it well. The probiotics is able to place good bacteria into your system if you are uneven, you're imbalanced, whether you have more bad versus good. So that's helping you to add more good bacteria to balance out your gut. Now, I recommend to my clients that you want to take probiotics in the evening because that's when your body, from 10 to 2, that's when your body is repairing.
Before food or after food?
After dinner.
After dinner.
Before bedtime.
Yeah.
Take it then because that's when your body's in repair mode.
Really?
So that's when it's a very good time to take your probiotic.
Wow.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and mention too prebiotics.
Yes,
so
yes,
some
yes.
of your community may have heard of prebiotics.
Yes,
What
yes,
is that?
Yes, yes.
Prebiotics are what you take before your meals, and what they do is they add and support the good bacteria you already have.
What is that? I mean, what is it, like garlic or something? I saw it.
No. It's bacteria. It's actually live bacteria, and that poses a good question, Esther. You want to make sure that your probiotics are refrigerated. So when you go to the store to buy them, you want to make sure they're in the refrigerated section, because remember, they're live enzymes and bacteria. So you want them to be live when they go into your stomach, right? So that's the difference. Prebiotics help to support your good bacteria. Probiotics help to put good bacteria in to try to balance out the bad.
Wow, I didn't know that you take it at night. You can. It's the
Night
best
is,
time.
night is the best
Night.
for the probiotic.
So how often should people do it?
So that's a good question. There are situations where if you have not been eating well, you don't eat what I call real food that doesn't have hormones or additives, you're eating a lot of boxed food, a lot of processed food, then you would want to take a probiotic every day. You don't necessarily have to have a prebiotic. I would want you to get tested and see where you're at in terms of your biome, your microbiome, to see if you need that. But I actually take, as an example, a probiotic every evening, especially if I'm on the road traveling and maybe I'm not eating as well as I normally do when I'm home.
Yes.
Another really good time is during the holidays. You know, we all want to overextend a little bit and splurge, right? So you want to also take a probiotic during the holidays, and that'll help to keep your manage your gut biome.
Wow, that's really interesting. Well, you believe in reading labels.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
But people don't understand labels.
Okay. So it is, I know, it can be very mysterious. Let me just position this that a lot of people don't know that the FDA only screens about 10% of the products that we consume. Now, I find that to be amazing. I don't know about your community.
Really?
So what that means is all the products, and there's hundreds of thousands of them, right?
Yes.
That are out on the market today that we eat and are marketed to us every day, we don't really know, are they good for us or not? So one of the ways that you can help to screen that is to read your label. And the reason that that's good is, I'll use myself as an example. If I'm going to look at a new product and I'm thinking about eating it, the first thing I do is turn it over and does it have corn? Does it have gluten in it? Does it have, and always go to the bottom, because in small print it'll say other ingredients. There'll be additives, there'll be preservatives. If they're going to mention them, that's, Remember, always read the fine print.
Yes, yes, yes.
Read that, because there could be, like, for instance, a derivative of corn, which is like xanthan gum in baking. That's going to be down there. So I know then that I know I'm going to react to that product. Reading the labels also lets you know how much sugar is in it.
Yes. Yes.
How many minerals are in it, what's the fat ratio versus the protein. So you also, I'm not big on counting calories, because that really doesn't help you. What you want to know is what is in this product, what are the ingredients, are they going to nourish me, or is it a situation where it's a red flag and maybe I should put it back on the shelf because it's not going to be good for me.
In the labels, the first few ingredients are the most that are in the product, right?
Great point.
Yeah.
So as an example, let's say you're picking up a product and you're looking for something specific in it, like high protein.
Yes, yes.
And you're looking at a container of protein powder, right?
Yeah.
Well, if within the first 2 or 3 ingredients,
yes,
it's got 60% sugar, it's got 3% xanthan gum, which is corn, and about 4 or 5 ingredients down, it talks about protein. Well, you know that the majority of this product has a lot of other additives or ingredients in it that's not really going to get you where you need to go health-wise, right? So, very good point. When you start seeing a product where there's a lot of extra things, especially things that you can't pronounce,
yes, yes,
you want to make sure that you question yourself, do I really want to put this product in my body? Because a lot of companies will state high protein, but when you look at the list, the protein's way down on the label. So good
Isn't
point.
that something? So how can we motivate people to read labels? I was thinking about it. I thought that maybe people, if they get allergic to something, an allergic reaction to something,
yes,
maybe they should go back and read the label.
Yes.
And that's for next time they're going to see, if they read the labels, they're going to see maybe that's what happened.
That is an excellent
the process of elimination.
Correct. And that's very good, because obviously none of us want to be reacting to foods, right?
Yes, yes.
You don't want to be bloated and you're wanting to fit in this special dress for a party coming up. It's holiday season. You want to make sure that everything you're eating, number one, is nourishing your body and not causing bad reactions, headaches, fatigue, bloating. Your adrenals are affected. Another thing that I want to bring up that's very important is all of these reactions in your body, Esther, are causing what we call inflammation.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I want to bring this up. One of the hormones called cortisol, which is your stress hormone, that's your fight or flight.
Yes.
If I'm a zebra running in the African territory and I have a lion on my tail, right, I am going to know that zebra has a lot of cortisol that's spiked in his system because he doesn't want to get eaten. So he's got to run very fast in a spurt, like 15 minutes or so, to get away from the lion, or he's going to be eaten, right? So that's called short-term stress, which is considered healthy, because once that zebra gets out of the way of the lion, it's going to go back to its normal life. It's going to be drinking out of the pond, and that stress level is going to go back down. Cortisol is going to go back down. Now, for human beings, if they are under a lot of pressure all the time, it's like that pressure cooker, right?
Yes.
Then what happens is that cortisol is what we call long-term, which turns into a chronic condition. That causes inflammation in the body, which is something, how you'll see a redness on somebody, you'll see a breakout, and it'll be red around the breakout. That's inflammation. You don't want that. Inflammation is what causes serious chronic diseases. As an example, you'll see liver conditions, diabetes 2, cancer is on the rise. All of it fundamentally starts with inflammation in the body. So always remember, the overall goal is to keep your inflammation down. How do we do that?
Yes,
keep your stress level down.
Okay.
Because it's releasing that cortisol.
Yes.
Something else that I feel is important about cortisol, when you have that excessive cortisol in your system, it has to go somewhere. And when your body doesn't use it, it goes to store. And where does it store it? stores it right in your belly in the fat cells. The fat cells will hold two things. It'll hold cortisol, hormone, and water retention. That's why when you see folks like after 50, you start seeing a lot of belly fat. That's what's happening, and that cortisol is going to store there, and until you do something about it, whether you do a cleanse or you start taking better care of your health and eating healthy foods. So cortisol is something that is a good thing and a bad thing in your system, depending on where it's being stored and how it's being used. Yes.
Yeah. So what's the best thing to eat in the morning for energy?
Okay. For me, I believe eating a good, healthy protein powder doesn't necessarily have to be animal protein. I use a pea protein as an example, is the base of my protein, made out of peas, out of vegetables.
Really?
Yes. So that's the fundamental base of my protein powder. Then it has a lot of trace minerals. You know, that's your zinc, your magnesium, and your calcium. By the way, those are the types of trace minerals that a lot of folks are lacking in their system. And so things like you were asking about water, your body can't hold water because you don't have enough trace minerals. So you'll see people drinking 6, 8, 10 containers of water all the time.
Yeah.
But what's happening is it's going right through their system and it's not being utilized in their system because they don't have the right trace minerals. But back to breakfast, I have a protein powder drink. I put fruit and a little vegetable in it. I put some of my vitamins and my minerals.
What kind of vegetable, what kind of
Okay,
fruits?
for instance, one of my favorites and a lot of people use are spinach or kale.
I guess. Yes.
Another real big one I want to stress to your audience is celery. Celery is one of the best vegetables. Why? First of all, it has a lot of water in it.
Yes, yes, yes.
You want to eat water-soluble vegetables, so you can put some celery in there. In other words, you want some roughage, you want some fiber, you want some vitamins.
Cucumber?
Cucumbers, excellent. A lot of water in cucumbers. So when you get done at the end of the day, you may want to put a little sweetener. I highly advise maybe a little liquid stevia. You don't want to go with agave. Agave has a lot of high sugar in it, and it's a high glycemic type sugar.
What is it made of, agave?
Agave comes from the plant.
Oh, wow.
But it is the way sugar breaks down in your body. So you have high glycemic and low glycemic. You want to stick with the low glycemic. Why? Because what happens is when the sugars are being broken down in your system, it's at a much slower pace. So you know how, let's say you eat cookies or you eat chips and you have a spike of energy. Okay, that feels great for 15 minutes maybe, but then you have a lull. That's why a lot of times if people have dessert right after lunch and they start feeling sleepy around 2 or 3 o'clock, that's what's happened. Your system is spiked up and then you have that slump and you feel sleepy. So you want to make sure that whatever you're eating has a low glycemic index, so to speak, so that you're pacing how you're nourishing your body throughout the afternoon. So some other things as far as breakfast, protein like eggs, if you can eat eggs. I happen to eat turkey bacon. I try to stay away from pork as much as possible. Bacon, so high protein items, avocados on your 100% whole wheat toast would be another thing that's very popular these days.
But doesn't whole wheat have gluten in it?
Whole wheat has gluten in it, but not everybody is allergic.
Yeah, right.
Is allergic to gluten.
Right,
now, you won't find it in my kitchen, haven't for years, but again, stress natural. 100% whole wheat. If it does not say that on the label, pick something else. You want to make sure, because what I find in the stores these days, you'll see whole wheat and you'll see how light it is. You're like, my gosh, it looks just like white bread, except it's like a light tan or brown, right? That's because that wheat has been ground down so far, Esther, that you might as well be eating white bread. You're not really getting the benefit of it. So you want to make sure it's 100% whole wheat.
What do you think about people that they don't know that they're allergic to gluten? Should they start just experimenting and not have gluten and see if they feel better?
Okay, good question. So what you can do is what I call an elimination diet.
Yes.
So let's say you've been eating gluten and now all of a sudden you're getting, breakouts on your skin or you're getting headaches and you've heard about gluten, it's bad for you. What I would try, because dairy is tied very much into a gluten issue as well.
Yeah.
And I would try eliminating both gluten and dairy, and I'm talking about cow dairy. That would be your butters, your cheeses, and your cow milk. I would try it for 3 weeks to a month, because it takes about that long for it to get out of your system. And then slowly add one of them, like the next week, the 5th week, try some cow milk in your coffee. Try some butter on your toast. And wait a couple of days and see if you react. Now you may have a little reaction, you may have a big one, but that's kind of a quick way that you can tell. Now obviously if you're not sure, if you have a serious reaction, that's when you'd want to take some more serious steps and go get tested at the lab. And
What kind of tests do they need?
Good question. So there's what they call an IgA and an IgG, IgA and an IgE test, and that helps to determine, the series of these tests will help to determine what you're allergic to, what you're sensitive to, and then you can determine what you want to eliminate from your body.
Wow, really? Is this like a blood test?
It is a blood draw. They also have, these days, they've gotten a little bit better. Some of these tests you can actually do through the mail as well. You can Google it, you know, IgA, IgE test for allergies, and see what comes up, and you can actually order kits. And some of them you can check through your urine and all through your stool.
Wow.
But the traditional way is to go for a blood test.
Wow, that's very interesting. That's, wow.
So we've come a long way.
Yes. Let's see. Okay, let's see. I have a lot of questions. Oh, what about exercise? What's the best time to do exercise? Before food or after food?
Okay, good question. I get this a lot, actually. You always want to exercise first thing in the morning. I suggest that you get up, and the first thing you want to do is go downstairs, pour yourself a glass of water, not cold, like regular tap water or, you know, neutral temperature. You want to squeeze lemon in the water, and you want to drink it, a full glass, first thing in the morning before you do anything. Why do you want to do that? Because our bodies tend to stay what we call more acidic, and you want your body to be alkalinized. And that lemon, even though lemon is an acidic product, it alkalinizes your body. So that's the first thing you want to do. After that, plus it helps to fill your stomach a little bit. You always want to eat after your exercise. So whether you do aerobics, you want to go for a walk, you want to play golf, whatever it is, you want to go do your exercise first, and then, you know, it may be 30 minutes later or an hour later, depending on your exercise, then come in and have your breakfast.
Really?
So you don't want to eat and have food on your stomach when you're exercising.
Wow.
Because always remember, when you're putting food in your stomach, it immediately goes into breaking down that food. So your energy is going to go to your breaking down the food, and you're not going to feel as much energy because you're exercising. So you may not be as energized and have enough strength, or feel less strength, because your body is so busy trying to break down the foods in your stomach, right?
Wow, that's really
So yes,
so
you want to make sure you exercise before you
before. This way you clean the clean.
Right. So your body's not focusing on breaking that food down. It's focusing on providing energy for you to be able to run, work out, take your walk, whatever you're doing.
So what kind of oil do you cook with?
Okay,
What do you
good.
prefer?
Good question. I get this a lot as well. Good healthy oils are avocado oils, coconut oil, and extra virgin olive oil. And you want to make sure it's extra virgin.
Yes, yes.
You want to stay away from, or when you go to the restaurants, because a lot of restaurants use 2 oils in the restaurant because they're the cheapest.
Yes.
Peanut oil and canola oil. You'll see that used a lot in restaurants and fast food because it's very inexpensive, and they're both genetically modified. You want to stay away from anything that's modified that goes into your system.
Avocado oil, I never heard
Avocado
about
oil. And people ask me, do you taste avocado?
Yes, yes, do you?
And no, it's very neutral. So I actually cook quite a bit and bake with avocado oil.
Wow,
Yes.
I never heard about the
Yes.
avocado.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see. Okay, what about vitamins? Do people need to take vitamins even though they eat well?
The answer to that question is, it depends.
Yeah.
So someone like myself, you know, I'm a clean food chef, so I prepare from scratch.
Yeah.
So I eat every day, you know, and maintain my health and my size because I'm eating healthy food, right? But I still do take things like vitamin C, I take vitamin E, which is good for you, and also vitamin D because sometimes I don't, you know, I'm not in the sun as much as a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Even though we have a lot of it, of course, in Southern
Yeah.
California. But for the average person out there, I would highly recommend that you take your A, your vitamin D, your vitamin E. Vitamin C is very, very important because it helps to root off viruses and colds and those kinds of things. If you're traveling during the holidays, you're on a plane, you want to make sure that you boost your vitamin C as well. So I said it depends because if you're eating healthy, you may not need all these extra supplements in your diet. I would say try them and see how you feel. Are you feeling better when you're taking these vitamins and these minerals? If not, if you're not seeing a difference, then hold off a little while and see how you're feeling. I also, as I mentioned earlier, if it's during the holidays or I've been traveling, I'm on vacation, I'm certainly going to want to take certain vitamins and minerals when I get back because I probably haven't been eating as well as I normally would if I was at home. But those are probably the ones. The other thing that I wanted to stress that's really important to your audience as well are your trace minerals, your zinc, your selenium, your calcium, your magnesium. You want to make sure that you're providing trace minerals, and sometimes you can get that in your protein powders and you don't have to buy extra pills for that because it'll be provided in your protein powder. You'll see all the items listed on there in the back. You want to make sure that you're having your trace minerals because again, that helps you to retain the good clean water that you're drinking so that it disseminates in your body.
Wow.
That's how we keep our skin very moist.
Let's say probiotic. Okay, what can we eat a lot without gaining weight?
That's still a mystery, and when I figure that one out,
Well,
I am
you're
going to be
thin.
the first one to
You're
try it.
thin. Well, lettuce. You can eat lettuce. Okay.
But again, I would stress to your community here, anything, any vegetable or fruit that has a lot of water is going to be good and healthy, right? Because we want to have a lot of water in our systems.
Yes.
And also, you want to make sure that you're eating lean proteins.
Yes.
I want to stress you want to eat grass-fed meats.
Yes.
You want to eat your meats without proteins in them.
Yes.
And without hormones.
That hormones.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to put
How would
anything.
they know if there's
Well, if
hormones
you're
in
not
it?
eating organic, if it doesn't say it's
Organic.
grass-fed
Yeah, okay,
or it's
okay.
organic
Yeah.
or it says free of hormones or nitrates,
Yeah.
then you can safely assume that it's got these extra chemicals and toxins in the body.
Here's your book. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yes, please. Pure Genius, it's a book about a 3-day cleanse that you can use, and it talks about reactionary foods. You can check the list that I can send you that will show you all the reactionary foods that most people are reacting depending on what foods they're eating. I also have gifts that are included, and there's also a diet that you can use in the book as well. So please feel free to go out on my website, lifestylechangestohealth.com, and that's the number 2. And there's a Blue Genius tab at the top right, and that's where you can buy the book and enjoy the book. And in there, I will be happy if you contact me and help you in any way I can.
Oh, good. Well, thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure.
It was a
having you.
pleasure meeting you today,
Thank you.
Esther, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for watching, and next time we'll have another interesting guest.